Hi guys, I'm Lauren. Welcome to my channel. It's so good to see you guys. Thank you guys for coming back every single week. I see you subscribing and commenting down below, and you guys are amazing. You just blow my mind. I've also had a couple of you guys over on my Instagram at That Awkward Plant Girl posting information about my Mosquito Bits Tea and worm casting tea. I've actually had so many of you guys asking about them that I'm gonna kind of make a plant tea video here. I'll leave the timestamps down below for you guys, that way you can reference them as you need them. Let's get into it today. If you haven't heard of these two things before, worm casting tea is an all-natural fertilizer that does not burn the roots of your plants. If you've watched any of my other videos, you might have seen me or heard me mention worm castings. I actually reference worm casting tea in my spider plant care video. I do like to fertilize these plants with worm castings because they'll get crispy tips if we use a chemical fertilizer. There's two ways to do it. You can just plop them on the top here. I'm just going to top this pot off since that root was kind of exposed. And I'll just spread it around here. And then I'll water it in really good. You can also water with a worm castings tea, or you can mix it in with your soil when you're potting up. But if you don't want to top up your plants with worm castings, you just want to give them a little bit of a natural fertilization. Alright, so these are worm castings. They're little balls of worm poo, essentially, where they have been digested by worms, and out pops these little balls that contain over 60 different kinds of micronutrients, and they also have beneficial microbes to build up the health of the soil life for your plant to be able to absorb those nutrients, and it can help kill off the non-beneficial fungi and protect your plants further. They are a low-yield fertilizer, which is how they prevent fertilizer burn. For the heavy feeders, you may need to supplement some other type of fertilization for specific nutrients that they really love to absorb. So to make the worm castings tea is actually very easy. You just take a bottle and you pour your worm castings in. It can be messy. As you can see, I just put 1/8 to 1/4 of the container, just worm castings. It depends on your container size, whatever works for you. And then you just pour your water in. Some people like to use rainwater, other people like to use their fish tank water. Either one will be fantastic for your plants and just increase the nutrients in there for them. And I shake it all up. You can see that it's all separate in here a little bit, but we're going to go ahead and set it on a heat mat, and that is going to cause it to become fully saturated and absorb into all of the little nuggets of goodness, basically. You just set it right on the heat mat. That's actually going to help those healthy microbes in there grow. If you open it up, if you let it sit there for a while, you open it up and it smells terrible, then it's bad microbes and you don't want to use it. But it shouldn't have any nasty smell whatsoever. It should smell healthy and earthy like good dirt. It shouldn't smell like rotten nastiness. So, and then you can just water it because it's water soluble nutrients. You can just pour it directly on your plants. It's not going to harm them. You can see it's made kind of a really pretty tea. And if you don't want to do that, you want to extend it because worm castings can be a little expensive. You can just take a capful or a couple capfuls and put them in your watering can and just kind of add a little bit of extra fertilization every day, and that's fine. Or every watering, I should say, because you shouldn't water your plants every day most of the time. But yeah, it'll prevent the chemical buildups so that you can safely water things like your ferns or your calatheas, or your begonias, and you don't have to worry about the burning. You won't have to worry about crispy leaf tips from over-fertilization or harming roots, and you'll just get healthy, beautiful, lush growth. And this can be for any plant. It's also really nice because it's a natural fertilizer and something that if you got your own little worm farm at home, which I don't have, I just buy worm castings, but if you have your own little worm farm at home or a compost bin, then that is something that you could totally do yourself at home and save yourself the money and be nature and natural friendly, right? So that's the first tea that we're going to make, and the second tea is going to be Mosquito Bits Tea. And what that does is kills all of the fungus gnat larvae.
So all of the fungus gnats that come and they lay their little eggs and the little eggs hatch in your soil.
So this is going to kill them for you. And it actually kills all types of larvae, and it's safe for animals and humans. So you don't have to worry if you have little ones or, you know, your little fur babies getting into your plant pots. This is not going to harm them. With the Mosquito Bits Tea, if you're using that to get rid of fungus gnats, it's going to take more than one time, and you have to use it in unison with the sticky traps, okay? In order to get rid of fungus gnats, you have to do a two-front process. You have to kill their little babies, and then you have to kill the adults. So use the sticky traps to capture the adults so they don't lay more eggs, and then you use the Mosquito Bits Tea to water your plants and kill all their little babies in there. And it's not gonna happen just one time. It takes time over a few months, but anyway. Alright guys, so these are the mosquito bits. They are essentially a slow-release microbial larvicide, which basically means they're little bits that dissolve in water, and as they dissolve, they release these tiny little microscopic critters that are eaten or absorbed by the larva, and then they kill the larva. Some folks like to place the bits in their soil mix or on top of their soil mix. I don't find it as effective, simply because it may not be distributed all the way evenly through the pot, and there may be small pockets where this larva can survive, grow up to be an adult fungus gnat, and come back and lay more eggs and start the cycle all over again. Making Mosquito Bits Tea is pretty easy. So you just need your mosquito bits, and then you need some type of water. I take 2 tablespoons of mosquito bits, but it could be more or less depending on your preference and the size of your container. After that, we add the water to fill up the container. And it could be 30 minutes to 24 hours depending on how long it takes for the bits to sink to the bottom. It can start to be effective up to after 30 minutes. For this one, I waited overnight just because it's easier for me to do that. So, and you can see some of the bits are still only halfway down. It'll be fine though because I had leftover bits from before. You can save them. Fair warning though is it will only last up to 14 days, and then the little larvicide will die and be fully dissolved. Also, it can start to smell after a couple of days, and it has a really terrible smell in the bottle, but it doesn't smell in your plants. So it's not like a fish fertilizer or fish emulsion where it smells terrible all the time. So that's just something else to note. And then you just take it and you pour it into your pots, and you just make sure that it's fully saturating the soil so that everywhere in there is covered. Alright guys, go ahead, go out, use this Mosquito Bits Tea, conquer your fungus gnat. Go ahead and get that lush summer growth with the worm castings tea. And drop down in the comments below what plants you're planning on using these things for, and or if fungus gnats have been completely and totally plaguing you this season. And let me know how the Mosquito Bits Tea works out for you guys. And follow me on Instagram for more fantastic tips like this, and I will link my reels for these as well when I make them, so that way you can easily reference it there as well. And 2 more videos right here for you guys while you wait for me for next week. I don't know what's gonna happen next week, so you better subscribe so that way you can get more planty awesomeness like this. I will see you in the next one, guys. Bye!